Hello and welcome to the latest Transformers review from Hellhound, and this week I'm looking at the new War for Cybertron Netflix inspired deco of a toy that's been released a few times in the Siege line, and this is in fact the War for Cybertron Hotlink, which comes also with two blastmasters. Are they called these days? I can't remember. Who are called Heartburn and Heatstroke, which are these two horrible green coloured things. So you get in the pack, you get one Voyager toy, two of these Target Master substitutes, and they charge you sort of £30 here in the UK, thereabouts. So about five or six quid more than it would cost for a Voyager on its own, which I suppose is pretty decent value. So let's get into him. So here he is in jet mode or spaceship mode, whatever you want to call it, and I quite like it. So this is based on the Tetrajet mode that we see in the very first episode of the Transformers animated series. I think I've said before that I'm not a particular fan of the animated series, never really did much for me, but that initial mini-series was one of the videos that I had as a kid, so I have seen it, did enjoy it, and yeah, it's a cool mode, and it's been really nice to see these produced as part of Siege. This is the first version of this mould that I've bought because I was quite happy with my old Classics Seekers, so didn't need to buy, Starscream, Thundercracker and Skywarp in this form, although I have gone for the Earthrise versions. And again, the sort of, was it the Rainmaker set, bit expensive and a bit bland. Red Wing I probably missed out on now. Having said that, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but having picked up this guy, I probably would pick up Red Wing as well. But the deco is really nice, sort of this airbrushed effect. It really helps the substitute Thundercracker colour scheme is obviously it's tried and tested, it's good. It sort of draws attention to all of the panel lines, but without making it seem like it's cluttered. In this mode, it's sort of a nice level of detail. I like the fact that we've got the Decepticon symbol in purple on a purple background. I think that's quite interesting. Yeah, he's nice. I know there is a lot of criticism about the fact that there is a robot mode on the underneath. Well, that's a fair criticism, but jet style Transformers, this is a constant problem, and I don't think they're ever going to really be able to deal with it. So it's about as good as it gets, really. But it's not too much of a problem for me. I think it works quite well. For an adult, not sure about a child, but it sort of just nicely fits in the hand, so it's got that swooshability, which is good. Are there any downsides to this mode? Well, yes, really. So I have here fitted the cannons. I suppose they're supposed to be null rays that come with the standard toy, with the blast effects that also came with Hotlink, and obviously that works quite well. The problem with this mode is that there are a number of 5mm ports, but there's really only a couple that you can use. So you can use the one under the wing, that's fine. You could use this one sort of at an angle, that's fine, but that blocks off the port under the wing. You could, can you? Yes, you can use the one on the side of the arm there again, but it starts to block off the other ports. And you can't use that one at all. In addition to that, if we take Heartburn and the other fella, yeah, you can, first of all, they're very loose in those holes, so whether they will stay, but it doesn't really, yeah, that's not so good, is it? And the reason for that, of course, is that there is no landing gear, which I think is a bit, you know, surely some landing gear could have been built into these legs. That's probably what this is supposed to be, really. More difficult, I suppose, in the on the nose. Not sure if that was on camera, but you know, I can see why there's no landing gear mechanism built into there. Or, you know, just give us one of these but remold it so that it could attach in here sort of properly, rather than being crammed in. You know, that might have worked quite well as a nose mounted gun. I don't know, that's a bit of a letdown. These are remolds of blowpipe, I think it is, that comes with, is it blowpipe or Anglers, that comes with, or came with Trigger Happy and G1. They're both the same. I'm not going to go into these. I mean, the only difference is one's got yellow eyes and one's got orange eyes. Well, there we go. Right, let's try and transform him. This is a really good figure, so good in fact that it's basically spent all of the time I've had it in robot mode, and I've transformed it about 3 or 4 times, which, to be honest, the transformation is better than that, but it's just it looks so good in robot mode that I just don't tend to transform it. So I have transformed it once before filming this video, and the question is, have I already forgotten how it works? So I'm going to flip him over, and I'm going to unpeg what will be the arms. This one's very tight for some reason. There we go. That will allow me to unpeg slightly the wings at the front, and I'm going to come to the back and flip up the robot chest. Now, while I'm here, one of the things that this toy did get some criticism of when it came out is the fact that this sort of just hangs out there on the back, and to be honest, it did look a bit clunky, but in robot mode, in real life, in robot mode it's fine, but in vehicle mode and in real life it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. I think the fact that there are these turbines in the chest give the impression that they're part of the booster assembly, with 3 on the top and 3 on the 2 in the legs. And also on this toy anyway, they put this sort of little orange glow at the bottom of that 3 booster section, which sort of implies that this is perhaps the power plant or something that you can see, as opposed to a faux F-15 cockpit. Also, while we're back here, I suppose there is a question, you know, you can, if you had enough of them, put these in, the blast effects in, as booster effects, which is pretty good. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to flip that up, and that means I can raise these up out of the way, and then ratchet the top of the jet away from the body. I'm going to fold the legs down, twist at the waist, flip out the feet, he says. There we go. And then I'm going to bring this down here. Oh, it's just about to pop off. There we go. Which starts to, there's like a auto transform mechanism, I suppose, in there. As you bring the hinge round, not sure you can see that if I push the head back in. As you bring the hinge round, it just forces the head up, which is really good because it makes it easy to get some fat fingers in there and get the head out. Clip the chest in, lift the head up. This bit here, which pegs into the back of the head quite tightly, just seems to be to help with that auto mechanism, and it just sort of hangs there, fills the gap I suppose. Then we're going to take the nose, split that and bring that all the way round to about there. We're going to move this rocket booster section so that it hangs on the back there, and then this whole thing will collapse, and these two pegs on either side of the chest will plug into the pylons and secure everything in place. Yeah, so just it's quite awkward to manoeuvre to get those to peg in, I find. Wings we can sort of just position as we like. Come to the arms. There is forearm's going to open up, so we can move the fists out and decompress the forearm, and then do the same on the other side. Okay, so then we've got a choice, so I'm going to give him his null rays, because I do think they are the best, but he may as well have these as well for now. So there he is, looking pretty badass. Yeah, it looks quite good. One of the things I suppose is a benefit of having these teal weapons, they do obviously contrast very well with the orange, black and purple, which is good. So yeah, so he looks quite good, quite heavily armed. Obviously makes it stand out as well from the other versions of this mould, if you had all of them, which again I think is pretty good, and perhaps something of a missed opportunity from that that exclusive 3-pack that was produced. So let's get rid of heartburn and heat stroke for a sec and talk about articulation. So this guy is very articulated, more articulated than the Earthrise Seeker mould, which is interesting, I suppose. So we've got a head on a ball joint and a very nice head. Hopefully that's going to focus. I'm not sure how well it's going to pick it out, but it's sort of just a neutral expression on this one, which is quite good. Disappointingly, we've got this red translucent plastic that's been used. Certainly on mine, doesn't really seem to have any sort of light piping effect, which is a bit of a shame. So yeah, head's on a ball joint, that's quite good. So we've got 90 degrees at the shoulder, and we can spin, well, if the wing's not in the way, 360 degrees. We've also got this little sort of butterfly joint, which is quite good, so you can get some, you know, sort of a more angled poses. That's nice. Got a bicep swivel. We've got double jointed elbows, which is really good. And then because of the transformation, we've got not just swivel at the wrist, although that does tend to happen, we do tend to pop out. We've got swivel and some bend there as well, which is great. We've got some waist movement, which is hindered by the backpack. I mean, you could unattach the rear if you wanted to. You can kick forward a very long way. Hampered at the back again because of the robot backpack. We can kick out. We've got a thigh swivel. We've got a huge range of motion because of the transformation. This panel here is on a spring to get out of the way, so that's again allows you to get a very extreme knee bend. and then we've got a little bit of ankle tilt, and you can move the ankle a long way forward. It's really good. Oh, and you can sort of swivel the wings around as you wish to have them positioned. Really, they're always a little bit in the way, as you would expect on this sort of thing. The articulation is really impressive. I think it's of the Siege and Earthrise figures that I've bought, at least as far as the sort of Voyager and Deluxe Leader class figures that I've bought. It's definitely one of the best. Definitely up there in my opinion with, say, Sideswipe and Voyager Optimus Prime. I don't have the Leader version from Earthrise. I mean, they've all been good, but this was a really pleasant surprise. Only thing I don't like in robot mode, I don't really like this orange glow on the wings. I don't really know what that's about. Seems like a bit of an unnecessary application. I'd rather, again, I don't know how much that costs, but I'd rather the money was spent on something else. The backpack is a bit clunky. That bothers me more than the bits of robot hanging out in vehicle mode. But it seems a bit churlish to complain, because this is, I think, or certainly at the point that this was released, this was the best Seeker mould in a mainline sort of G1 inspired Transformers series that we had. It is better than the Classics Deluxe version, I think, apart from the fact that it isn't an F-15. One thing I don't like, again, apart from the orange highlights, I'm not so keen on the surface panel detail in robot mode. I do think it is busy here, and for some reason the paint applications sort of draw attention to it in robot mode, and that bothers me. And I think one of the things that seems to have happened on Earthrise is they've sort of stepped back from that to some degree, and I think that's a good thing. But again, everything else about this guy is absolutely fantastic, and if I'm going to score him, I'm going to go, I think it is a fantastic toy. I'm going to go for a 4. I can't quite go for a 5. A 5, it would need to be an F-15 as the alternate mode, and not teal weapons. Another thing that would have been good, to get it to that 5, give me 4. I've got 4 weapons. Give me 4 blast effects, especially when I'm spending another 6 or 10 quid or something on top of the normal price for a Voyager. You've got to give me something extra, Hasbro. I know you don't want to, but I want to feel like I'm getting value for these things, which I am, but I would like more. So that was Hotlink. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Next review is probably going to be an Autobot, because it feels like a long time since I've reviewed one of those. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review, and you'll join me next time.